Hey, what's up? It's Ashley. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. In this video, I'm going to be telling you all about books that have Shadow Daddies in them. We've all read ACOTAR and Love Recent. We've all read Fourth Wing and Love Zayden. But did you know that there is a bunch of other great Shadow Daddies out there, and they're in books just waiting to be picked up by you? So first of all, I want to take a really quick second to do that like new YouTuber thing and say thank you for clicking on my video. If you like it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to my channel. I have some very special book video plans coming up for October. Yes. And if you could subscribe, it would mean the absolute world to me. It really helps me to grow my channel and know to make more videos like this one. All right, coming up first, I have the Kindred's Curse Saga. This is book 1, which is beautiful. I'm actually holding up a real book. Usually I just put the book picture up, but I did read this in hard copy. And I really love the world that Penn Cole created. It's quite creative. The way the world is structured is like a circle, and there's different types of like half-god creatures, because at some point the gods mated with mortals and created this next level of like in between humans and gods. And so the gods rule, and there's different types of gods in each kind of spoke of this circular wheel that is this universe. And what's cool in the book at the very beginning, so here's the map, which shows you kind of the circular universe that I'm talking about. And then in the beginning, it tells you all the realms. So there's Lumos, the realm of light and shadow, Fortos, realm of force and valor. There's realm of beast and brute, root and thorn, sand and flame, mind and secret, sea and sky, thought and spark, and stone and ice. So there's a lot of potentially really amazing backgrounds or settings, excuse me, in this series. You're like, where's the Shadow Daddies?
I love you, I love you, I love you!
The Shadow Daddy is our male main character. His name is Luther. He's actually a prince.
Don't you know that, don't you know I want you so bad?
And super powerful, but he's one of those powerful characters who's very reluctant to have all the authority that he has. And one of the things that he's in charge of in this world, the humans are very oppressed. And you know, as they are in many of the beginnings of these books, the humans are very oppressed, and it is actually illegal to have a child between humans and these like half-god creatures. So his job, one of his jobs, is supposed to be to round up all the children that are illegally born from these you know, half human, half god creature relationships, and to execute them. And what you find out is what he's doing to deal with that task that he has. I won't give it away, and how having that task assigned to him affects him and who he is. And he is basically a character which initially is working together or is seen with the female main character's mother right before the mother disappears. The mother is a famous healer, so she's actually working at the palace. And one of the interesting parts of this book has to do with how there is a main character who's essentially chosen by magic itself to be the next ruler. And this female character is going to be tested and subjected to a lot of different trials and challenges in order to prove herself worthy to the people who are living in this world. I believe it's going to be a 4-book series, and the first 3 books are out, if I'm not mistaken. And the 4th book is going to be out very soon, and really good read. This first one's actually not too bad in terms of the thickness, so you can get through it pretty quickly. The 2nd book is everybody's favorite. And if you're looking for a really interesting magical fantasy world, I suggest giving this one a try. Okay, next up we have The Immortal Fates, which is a book by J. Bree. You might have heard J. Bree's name from a set of Wide Shoes books, The Bonds That Tie. I can't remember the name. I didn't personally read it because I'm not like a Credence Why Choose Girly. If you like the writing of that author, you will definitely like this one. I did. What was really cool about this book is how understated and when in a lot of these fantasy romance books, I feel like things happen very suddenly. There's a lot of info dumping. There's not a lot of organic plot development or organic character development. And it really takes a long time for bonds to form between characters in reality or between people in reality. And then the way it's represented in fantasy romance can kind of be like super speed insta lovey. This is the exact opposite of insta love. The two main characters who eventually fall in love don't even like each other through this entire book. They basically hate each other at the beginning, they hate each other at the end. Our shadow daddy is Prince Soren, and he is really big fae. He has silver hair. He's on the cover of the second book, which is out now. He lost his parents when he was very young, and that's deeply impacted him. It changed the course of his life. And he has constantly been under the thumb of his uncle who took over the throne. He suspects his uncle is working against him. He's trying his best to fight for his people. However, his uncle is hoarding all the resources. They're in a war against the witches. If you like medieval settings like Game of Thrones with a touch of witchy magic, enchanted forests, and great side characters with a found family dynamic, you will definitely like this one. The female main character is one of my favorites because she is a very quiet, shy, more subdued character, but still very powerful. And I really like I said, the pacing of the relationship development between Prince Soren and our main character, Rook. I was going to say Rune. They're like Rune, Rook. They're always like kind of similar, the names. I think Jay Bree got some pretty bad feedback about the ending of the second book. And what I expect is that in the third book, we'll see some of that stuff undone. Some of it was just like, no, why are you doing that? Why are you putting in these like twists that don't make sense? But yeah, like I said, I think in the third book, it'll make sense. This whole first book basically is set up. And second book, you get the payoff, which is kind of, you have to be in the mood. You have to be in the mood to kind of go along on the journey with these characters. I should say the name of the book, and that is The Crown of Oaths and Curses by Jay Bree. All right, next up we have The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. And I don't understand, this book was great. I don't understand why I got such bad feedback. I think some people like it and some people don't. The cover art is absolutely stunning. Like, look at this. Oh, it's so good. So if you see this image, they're basically like ships, but they fly. And a lot of people talk about how this is a Reylo, so Kylo Ren and, oops, sorry about the shaky screen there. This is a Reylo fanfic, but it really isn't, only in the sense that the main characters, one of them has the power of light and one of them has the power of dark. And the dark-powered male is our Shadow Daddy, and he is basically the son of a kingdom which is a colonizing force, and they are wanting to conquer their whole continent and take over. And so what they've done is they have destroyed all what are called the shadow gates, which is where you can draw magic. So the places where you can draw your light magic from, they have destroyed it because they themselves draw on like dark magic. At the beginning of the book, the main character is on the side of a country that's basically being colonized by this other force. And they end up seeking refuge in this third-party country island, which has really advanced technology because they haven't been fighting a war like these other two places have. And the book kind of goes from there. They get really enmeshed in the politics of what's going on in this third place. And there's a lot of strong female forces. There's a good sprinkling of politics, a good sprinkling of like actual war conflict. And what is great is there's some really nice slow burn development between the dynamics of our two main characters. I really like our male main character. He kind of struggles with a dad that's never really that nice to him or doesn't really approve of him. I'm really looking forward to Monsoon Rising, which is book 2 in this series. It also has amazing cover art. Like, this is just a really pretty book to have on your shelf. Give it a read. I've heard people say that it's very Star Wars-y. I don't know what you're talking about. I've watched all the Star Wars movies. You don't need to watch Star Wars to enjoy this book. There's flying ships and there's like a light and a dark meeting, and then other than that, there's really not a huge overlap between the two. A really good Shadow Daddy in here, and it kind of slants a bit young, I would say, but there's still some spicy romantic moments, and that is The Hurricane Wars. Okay, the next book I don't have a physical copy of because I read the soft copy, the e-version, and that is a book called The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is by Carissa Broadbent. First of all, let me give her props for a slightly original title. Although I don't personally like the title and feel it resonates with me, I get why she chose that title. Everybody fell in love with this book when it came out. Let me just state, I was not one of those people that was hugely impressed by this book. I get why it's popular. Did I read it? Yes. Was I able to get through it all? Yes. I think it just, I don't know, it didn't hit for me. I've heard that some of Carissa Broadbent's other books are really good. The premise of this book is you have the adopted daughter of a vampire king, and she wants to become eternal so she can, live out her life with daddy and be a vampire. Basically, in order to do that, she has to win this deadly tournament called the Kajari, and to win this deadly tournament, she has to be very careful because she's human and a lot of the others in the tournament are supernatural. Why does she have to win this tournament? Because the tournament is held by the goddess of death. It is deadly. There's like a lot of fighting and like mazes and things. So if you're in the mood for something like that, this might be one for you. She teams up and makes an alliance with this other character who is a vampire. There is a slight twist ending. He is our Shadow Daddy, very powerful vampire. I know a lot of people really enjoy the relationship between the two of them, and book 2, I think, I liked a little bit more and was a bit more interesting to me and definitely goes further into their relationship. The cool thing about this one is it's kind of like a Hunger Games Twilight mashup, because you have like a human vampire romance and then you have like these trials. So if you're in the mood for a deadly trial and a little bit of romance to go along with it, then you want to check out The Serpents and the Wings of Night. All right, next we have one of my favorite fantasy romance books, and I think this one is really good for either beginners to the fantasy romance genre or for people that just like a lot of contemporary romance, because this is very light on the fantasy elements, and that is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. So in this series, we have a character who something really bad happens and she needs help. So she calls on the mysterious Fae King known as the Bargainer. And the Bargainer will always trade and make a bargain with you, but he always comes to collect. And she keeps making bargains and bargains and bargains. And as symbols of those bargains, she has beads that wind all the way up her arm, symbolizing all the bargains she's made. She actually ends up forming a bit of a close relationship with the Bargainer. And then poof, one day he disappears. And the book sort of is starting with he has now come back, and then it's flashing back to those time periods when she did spend time with him when she was a bit younger. And she is a siren, he is a Fae King. There's a little bit of a murder mystery element because there's disappearances of women happening in his realm. He is definitely a great Shadow Daddy if you want someone who's like kind of like a Hades type character. He's very tough but has a soft spot for his love interest. He's very much like got that overprotective touch her and die vibes. I just absolutely love this series and specifically this book. I've read it multiple times. It just makes me happy. Highly recommend. That is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. The last book that I have to recommend to you is one that I'm reading right now, and that is called Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I think 64% in, and I'm definitely going to be doing a video all about this book because people will not stop talking about it. People say it's the next best thing to pick up if you're hankering for like a Fourth Wing ACOTAR type book. It definitely has a shadow daddy in it named Kingfisher. He's quite a complex character. He is the stepson of the king, and he is a warrior whose people are constantly fighting against these bloodthirsty, they're like vampires, but the vampire foot soldiers are kind of like zombies. And he is teamed up with our female main character, who's taken from a completely other world. And the reason she's been taken is because she can manipulate the Quicksilver. Quicksilver is this special metal. When made into a liquid form, you can travel between worlds, and Kingfisher is very desperate to be able to do this because he needs a certain amount of silver, because that is what allows you to kill these like foot soldiers. And right now he needs someone who can create relics, which are these special kind of objects that will allow you to travel through the quick, which is the Quicksilver, without going mad. And so there's a bit of a romance between them. He has a lot of powers. He basically like can disappear into like black mist and like make a bunch of things happen. Like his magic is just like incredibly vast, and he's an incredibly strong fighter. He is definitely like the more interesting part of this book. What's interesting to me as well is that like you do have the development of kind of like an origin story for the female main character, and you spend a lot of time at the beginning in her world, which is like this desert planet that has like 2 moons, and water is very scarce, and she's in one of the poorer districts, and she's constantly having to steal water. But she also had a mom who was like a rebel, and so she learned from her mom's friends how to fight and also how to steal water. And she also was working in a forge, so she has a lot of like blacksmith type abilities, and in addition has this magical power where she can control this Quicksilver. So a lot going on in here. I'm not 100% sure what my final thoughts are, but so many people have loved it. I definitely think it's worth checking out. This is probably the most Xaden-y type Shadow Daddy that I've seen. If you put like Rune from the Crescent City series together with Xaden, I think you would get Kingfisher. So if you're interested in a male main character like that, definitely consider picking this one up. All right, everybody, that is it for this video. I've talked to you about a bunch of different books that have Shadow Daddies in them. If you could leave me a comment, tell me who is your favorite Shadow Daddy. Do you even like Shadow Daddies? If not, tell me that as well. And if you made it to this point in the video, leave me a moon emoji. Thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you would like to see some of my other videos, I'm going to put some more up on the screen that I think you might like to check out. In the meantime, this is Ashley saying goodbye. Happy reading. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button. Have a great day.